Shemaya Croeso, hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Welsh Football Fans podcast. We've just experienced one of the best weeks we've had in a long time, haven't we? 2 superb results, the latter being one of the greatest many have seen in their lifetimes. To react to both of these games, we've got 3 amazing guests on with us today. We've got John Morgan of Tinty and the Bucket Hats, Tomi, part-time football journalist, full-time kebab lover, and Roopa Vyas of HerGameToo Cymru. I am delighted to welcome to the podcast today John Morgan from Tinty and the Bucket Hats, Roopa Vyas, who's representing HerGameToo and HerGameToo Cymru, and the kebab connoisseur that is Tomi Caws. Welcome everyone, how are we?
Yeah, not bad. Can't complain after last weekend, can we?
I'd like to go back to the kebab connoisseur, to be honest. I'd like to delve down that a bit more.
Yeah, do you know what as well? I've got to say, Ev, as well, yeah, I'll take that on the chin, and I'm quite happy with it. I'll wear it as a badge of pride. But, you know, I get all this abuse from John Morgan about my tash, and look what he turns up sporting. Do you know what I mean?
Sporting? What do we sporting? Look at this.
That's abysmal. That's abysmal, that is, mate.
I haven't even started November yet. Come on now.
I cannot jump in. I've been trying to grow my own for about 4 odd years now. It's just not happening. I'd like to reach Caws levels. It's not going to happen.
It's so definitive. I've never seen. Do you know why? It's iconic. It's very Freddie Mercury. It's bang. It's there. You know when Caws is ready. The tash is on form. Yeah. The hair's glued back.
I'm blushing here, guys. I'm blushing. But do you know what? I love the fact that Roopa's tried to be sensible and like go straight in and go, oh, what a night it was on Sunday. Yeah. It's just descended already. It's just descended into farce.
I'm in the wrong place, aren't I?
No, not well, like what Roopa led on to, really, after the last weekend, the last week of Welsh football, really. It's class, isn't it? Like, what else are you meant to say about it? 2 results, well, albeit one's a friendly. Let's go on to that first, actually. A trip up to Wrexham last Wednesday. For Caws as well, it's practically a home game for you, the first international up north since 2019. How was it for you being up there?
It was absolutely great. I mean, you know, for once I wasn't getting home at, well, no, saying that, I'm lying. For once I wasn't getting home at 2 o'clock. I was home at about 4 because I went mad after it. So, yeah, it was brilliant though. It was great to see, and you know, the anthem was special as well, as it always is wherever we play. But absolutely brilliant, Ev, and just you know, I'm lucky enough. You know, I remember watching some games in the 90s at the racecourse, and they were all special occasions, and. You know, I wish I was a little bit older to have seen some of the proper classic matches at the racecourse in the early 80s. But, you know, John, what were they like in the 80s? Were they good occasions?
Look at you. Do you know what? I don't know. I really haven't a clue what the 80s were like. I just got some... I need to have a chat with Harry Wilson, what he uses, to be honest. Because if you're aging me 10 years, I am definitely doing something wrong here. But no, do you know what? Going back to the Gibraltar game, I think one of the biggest things that it was nice, obviously, for yourselves up north to actually have the game. The biggest standout for me was actually hearing the anthem, and you don't realise how many different dialects there are in Wales, and you don't appreciate how beautiful it can sound from north, south, east to west. Because we do always get thrown the whole south east Wales kind of like tone, obviously, because we are based in Cardiff, our home games. But hearing certain Welsh words, how they're sung in up north, puts a different spin on the anthem. And it's small little wins like that. You feel like, wow, that's what we are as a country. We are so like vast and wide, and there's so many different cultures that we don't even really truly get to appreciate enough, if that makes sense, on like a national level. So that was really sad, but that was a real nice win for me. Was hearing like that. It's not a Scouse twang, you know what I mean. It's like a real north, like I sound like in coast sort of thing. Like there's a deepness, and there's like a curve to the accent, as I said. And
we got a good guest on tonight.
Yeah, the guest is yeah, that's him.
Oh, bless him, man. Well, it was a win on the stands with the anthem and all, like. Being in the crowd as well, it was superb to hear it. You wouldn't think it was 10,000 in the ground the way it was sang that night. It was beautiful. And you notice on a lot of the younger players who are having their first senior call-up in that game, you know, Charlie Savage, Regan Poole, etc. You could see the emotion on their faces before the game, and I think that sort of contributed in its way to the performance. I know it's Gibraltar. They have the same population as Caerphilly Town, but for the way we turned up the first half, it was a superb performance, especially in the first half, and it was a lot of the youngsters, Charlie Savage in particular, impressed. What were your thoughts on his performance?
Not gonna lie, I didn't watch the game. I was out with Gab. Sorry.
We're gonna have to delve into that now. I mean, is that a fine? We should have a fine sheet for like on these shows and these podcasts. Like,
I was boycotting £28.
To be honest, I'm quite happy to hear your like synopsis of this night out with Gabby. To be fair,
well,
there's a few now in Welsh football who are asking now.
Yeah, it started off in MacArthur Glen in Starbucks, and it ended in MacArthur Glen in Starbucks. Just a little catch up, really. We were like, oh, we're not going to Wrexham. Everyone's left us, so let's catch up instead.
I don't know. I think after the train journey up and back from there, I think I would have rather been in Bridgend, to be honest.
You sure?
But you know what, mate? My heart bleeds for you, pal. I'm like, once every 4 years, mate. I feel so bad for you, pal.
It felt great to finally experience it. I can understand each and every complaint now, especially the return journey. That was hell. So I think anyone who made the trip from south to north can truly appreciate now, especially if they've done it by train, the extent our fans, all our brothers and sisters up north, they go through hell just to come to Cardiff. It's applaudable, ain't it?
Yeah, I think that was a big factor, I think, in, you know, having this game and seeing the other side of things. You know, everyone was complaining, and yet we don't truly appreciate what we've got, do we? Like living down the road here. And yeah, like that was the biggest talking point I saw on social media, just trains. It's the same on Sunday, wasn't it? Just everyone just boycotting Transport for Wales, or them boycotting us, more like.
Yeah, it works both ways, doesn't it? Fans have plenty to say, and everybody knows I've had a lot to say about that company over the years. And it isn't going to stop. It's only going to get worse as time goes on, I think. Welsh football fans have started going against them now. And that's us. That's fans in general and this page.
I think as well, Ev, like, I mean, that message that came on the screen, I'm sure you've all seen it on social media. And it's like, oh, sorry, this train has been cancelled because there's a football match on. What? Do you know what I mean? What's that all about? Oh,
just a football match, nothing important, just a game.
Yeah. Christ, you know,
we've known about for months as well. To plan ahead just makes too much sense.
It's unbelievable, and I tell you now, as someone who's used Transport for Wales on many an occasion, it's only ever 2 carriages from the north. Doesn't matter what's on. If there's rugby on, they'll probably put 4 or 5, but every Wales football international, 2 carriages, and it literally is just, it's bedlam, and nothing ever changes, nothing's ever done. And you know, the last one was a bit of a joke as well. I think was it the Armenia game? I'm sure it was, and they put a train on at like 9:46 or something from like
you'd have to be like Linford Christie to get back in time for the Who actually sits there and thinks, do you know what, we're gonna have to get these fans home? Genius idea. We'll put it on before the end of the game because let's be honest, they want to get on the train, won't they? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so unfair that people work their socks off, like you said, to come down from the north. But I'm gonna have a proper Transfer for Wales here to actually have the sheer audacity to label football fans in such a derogatory way, as if like there's trains, we cancel the trains now because of them. It's not like they've just said, look, we've had to cancel the train. Thank you very much. Here's a public announcement. It's, that group over there, we don't like them. They keep coming on our trains. They keep wearing their bucket hats, spilling their beer, and we've had enough of them, and they're poorly stained gazelles. Get them off. They hate us. But it's nice to be hated. Because when there's that closed ranks feeling, it's very Rorke's Drift. And like Tommy knows what it's like being a Wrexham fan, because the amount of tosh that gets thrown their way when you're hated, and you call yourselves the unbearable Reds, when you're hated like that, I'd say hate's a strong word. When you're disliked like that, it makes you close ranks even more, and you go, that's ours. And that's what we're like against Transport for Wales. It's like, come on then, what you got next time? We'll cycle down, we'll walk down, cancel the trains. You know what? We'll walk on the tracks. We do what we want.
The way the services get cancelled, you could probably walk an entire stretch without a train hitting you at this rate. So it's a viable idea.
We should probably put a disclaimer right now. Nobody should ever walk on a train track or decide that's a sensible idea to go to a Wales game. Please do not do that.
I love the fact that this is now turned into a Transport for Wales podcast rather than a Wales football one. It's absolutely sensational.
I wasn't expecting anything much coming into this, but I probably could have saw something like this coming. Is organised chaos. Pretty similar to how TFW run things, you know?
Hey, I tell you what, that's what we call a segue, Ev. You're learning, pal. You're learning.
Very, very professional, very on brand for me. How are we talking about the Gibraltar friendly and it's ended up like this, though? 4-0
Well,
win.
to be honest with you, mate, I mean, you know, as a game, you know, it's as you expected, I think, wasn't it? Charlie Savage probably performed above expectations. Apart from that, I think it probably just went the way it went. But do you know as well? I think it's probably quite important to get lads a few minutes ahead of, you know, some of those lads who hadn't had many minutes. Danny Ward, Nico Williams as well. And you know, it's just great for them to have minutes in the legs against Gibraltar. And I mean, it paid off on Sunday, didn't it? Big time.
Absolutely, but before we head on to Sunday, there was a little old event going on in Cardiff. So the Saturday even, the day before the big match against Croatia at the Roopa Tavern, and Roopa will know all about this. She's been heavily involved in getting it off the ground. HerGameToo Cymru hosted an evening at the old pub. They welcomed in arguably one of Cardiff's best players of the 21st century, Robert Earnshaw, and one of their current ballers, Fionn Price, and I'll just have Roopa do the explaining about it because it was a superb event in the city.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, firstly, just big up Welsh football fans and the Roopa Tavern for letting us host. But yeah, it was just something that we wanted to do, you know, get people together in a room and engage rather than just plugging on social media, because we can talk about it all day and then people could just literally just scroll past and ignore us. So yeah, we want to get out there, get our supporters there, and obviously get the players involved as well. So Rob, obviously known for quite a while now, and he wanted to pledge his support in some way, shape or form. So I thought, what better than to announce him as our new HerGameToo champion going forward. So, you know, with him being a pundit on Sky Sports and just all over the place at the moment. So, you know, it's perfect for him to promote the message, spoke about, you know, him getting into the Wales squad, getting into Cardiff City, some interesting stories, especially comparing it to how like Fionn got into football and the current state of football and how he used to hand down his shirts like the women's team, and he had no idea that he had to do that. And you know, Fionn now it's completely different. So yeah, just getting a room full of predominantly men as well, which is great, I think. So get them all together, listening to our message about HerGameToo. Obviously we had Britt, Cardiff City ambassador, of course, and Charlotte Galloway as well from the Women's Football Collective. So we recently announced a partnership with them and launched our very first training centre for HerGameToo, and it's actually in Cardiff, so it's just perfect for us really. So every Monday night down in Cardiff and Vale College and Cardiff Bay, they run 2 hours, 2 separate sessions for young girls as young as like 4, all the way up to adults, beginners, improvers, you know, just football for everyone. That was one of our goals, and to make it happen in Wales to start off as well, it's huge for us. And yeah, just to get that message out, I mean, what a night. Like, I was buzzing. My cheeks were hurting the next morning from smiling so much.
Oh, it is great to hear about, and especially witnessing the growth of HerGameToo Cymru as well. The presence has felt at both the men's and the women's internationals is great to see, and I think it's definitely had a positive effect on getting a lot more women and girls go in to watch the games as well. And for the women's fixtures in particular as well, you've seen the massive increase in crowds over the last year. And it's sort of coincided with HerGameToo's presence as well. So as somebody who's so directly involved, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're putting the two together, because honestly, I think women's football would grow naturally anyway. But for HerGameToo, obviously, to have that presence to support fans of both the men's and women's games, and to support fans who've experienced sexism, and to give them sort of a safe space. And I feel like the work we do in the men's game transcends into the women's game by giving women like an opportunity to, you know, come to the games with us. We did a group booking recently with Wild Gork and Menywod, with Penny and her crew, just so people could go in a group and feel part of something rather than feel isolated and just feel like targeted because they're a woman. And you know, generally, like, it's not a major issue. I say generally because I know recently we have had, unfortunately, an increase of like reports and stuff related to Wales games and sexism, which, you know, I'm gutted about. You know, I know you guys and know like most of the crowd as well, and it's just sad to see that happening, especially at away games, because it's a much smaller, tighter crowd. You know, it used to be a family atmosphere, not something where women feel uncomfortable and men feel uncomfortable watching it as well. So had a few reports come in, so hopefully going to work with the FAW to address this and educate people. But yeah, you know, hopefully people watching this now will think twice as well about making those comments and making people feel uncomfortable for going to a game just because they're a woman.
Could it be the fact that you've created something now that allows that awareness to be channeled somewhere? And I'm not saying it never happened before. Could it be that the fact that it's happened before, and due to previous cultures and previous beliefs, we've just pushed stuff and brushed it under the carpet, whereas now you've created something that allows people to challenge what isn't right? So something is there now, and there's actually a channel that people can go, right, you know what? That's not what we have as one of our values. We've now got somebody that we go, do you know what? We don't like that. We don't stand for it. Here's how we're going to channel it. Whereas before, it might have been someone go, don't like that. I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, I think awareness, you know, has led to an increase of reports. You know, with HerGameToo on the whole, like across the UK, and you know, Kick It Out reported as well, like 400% increase. We've not been around that long to report figures like that, but we had 121% increase in reports, and it's a bit of both, isn't it? That, you know, people have somewhere to go. They've got ambassadors who are present at games. They've got somewhere to go on social media. They've got a reporting system they can use, because, you know, one of the main feedbacks we had is that the Wales reporting system isn't very visible. So people are trying to find it on the website, can't. So they either go straight to Noel on Twitter and send an email, which gets lost in the inbox, or they come to us, or they do both. So we've had cases of that where people are coming to us for additional support because we can get them the answers that they need quicker. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that people are aware of it though, and you know, are questioning the behaviour they're seeing and raising a report, because I think it does take a lot for people to actually, you know, go through and reporting stuff like this. And also like questioning your mates. You know, if you saw someone doing something wrong, and questioning their behaviour and calling it out, and if you need to, like, reporting it, you know, I think that's huge.
That's definitely something that cannot be estimated even more. Is a predominantly male crowd, especially at the men's internationals, and being able to call out anyone's behaviour that is in the wrong, and having a group that is pushing that message out is what's needed. And I think the more time goes on that HerGameToo is involved in club and international football all across the island, you're going to see the numbers decrease. As at the moment, you are going to see these reports going up, which is a shame. But at least now more than ever, the platform is there to get us support and to make it known that there isn't right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, having people like Rob, you know, getting a male who's loved by Welsh fans and by Cardiff City fans, someone who's really well known, really well respected, to promote that message. And we've also got Tom Lockyer as a HerGameToo champion. He's playing in the Premier League. So yeah, to have people like that back in the campaign, and like male voices, like even you guys, you know, your voices are louder than mine, unfortunately. You know, I can shout all I want, but you talking about it is going to have a bigger impact than me banging on about it.
I'd like to think so, but I don't think many are taking the head of Welsh football fans as seriously as, say, you know, North Wales boss Tomi, Caws, or the literal Tinty and Bucket Hats. You know.
Listen, mate, no one takes me seriously in this task. I can tell you that for sure. no, I think it's a serious point. I think you know, it's up to us as blokes to call it out when we see it. You know, I think we've got a responsibility to do that, and you know, I think, you know, it doesn't matter if you know them. I mean, especially if it's one of your mates, you need to call that out and you need to stop it there and then. But I think regardless if it's your mate or not, if you see it happening, sort it out. Just have a word and say, listen, mate, pack it in. Because you know, I love the growth of the women's game. I love the fact that, you know, I mean, I remember when I first started following Wales and Wrexham. And you really would not see many women at the game at either Wales or Wrexham. And I think it's fantastic to see now. I mean, you know, the percentages, it's gone up and up and up. But, you know, there's still a lot of work to do. So, you know, it's up to all of us, male, female, you know, whatever. Let's, you know, let's sort it out. And fingers crossed those numbers at games continue to grow.
Yeah, spot on. I think it's just reiterating same points that everyone's made. It's our responsibility, and now people are taking the responsibility and doing something with it, rather than like Tommy said, if it's your mate or not your mate, you call it out, because it's what we find acceptable behaviour, and we create the community based off that. And what we've got in the Red Wall, Walgach, is something special. So it's a bit like yeah, you got your fruit bowl, you have one apple that's gone off in there, it's going to affect everyone else. So you take that apple out, bang, you've got a nice fruit bowl then. I'm back with analogies, by the way.
Oh, mate, your analogies are the best. I absolutely love them.
That is a beautiful way to put it, I'd say, actually. And if we're going to compare the Red Wall to a fruit bowl, Sunday was superb. It was the best orchard you could imagine. The reddest of apples, witnessing a superb result.
Do you know what? There was bananas in there. There was apples. There was oranges. Do you know what? There was even a punnet of grapes in there. Like, you know what I mean? Those was real palate cleansers that had that extra crisp to like a whole evening. So Sunday was do you know what? Sunday was the complete fruit bowl.
That's the best way I've heard anybody sum up that performance, to be honest. Or going on to the game itself. Oh, go on, Caws.
Ev, I was just going to say, mate, you know, just before we came on, he's given us a tour of his mansion. Now he's talking about
yes.
Now he's talking about palate cleansers. Why have you invited the Tory on? What's going on?
He's changed.
That's a big accusation to throw at someone. I wouldn't say he's gone down the Tory route. I can see this man. He's wholesome. He takes pride in his fruit and veg, and he plays in a band on the side. You can't fault it, can you?
I mean, we're talking about like kick it out at HerGameToo. I think we need a HerGameToo campaign now after that comment.
Oh. It's just the rivalry brewing up before the games. I'll be coming up before long. Is this you two clashing heads or what?
Do you know what? It's like me and him. It's like, I don't know, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. We never fight, but we always just batter each other with insults.
That's a good way. That's a really good way to put it. But
it's all love. It's all love, mate. It's all love.
Well, Sunday night, we have to get onto it eventually, and all I can say, really, it was superb. Every moment from the first kick to the last whistle. That's one of the best Welsh performances I've ever seen, really.
Yeah, it's right up there in there with some of the best we've seen at Cardiff City. I mean, for me, I don't know what changed. I was really nervous. You know, earlier in the week, I said, didn't watch the friendly. I was a bit like, it is what it is. You know, we were going to win that, but this is Croatia. And our recent performances haven't been the best. You know, we got that win in Latvia, but I still wasn't convinced. And yeah, I don't know what changed. But as soon as I got near the stadium, I got there about 4:30, popped to Costco, my pre-match ritual, and something changed. I just felt really like, I just felt a buzz in my stomach, and I was like buzzing for the game. And then I saw Brooksy right in front of me, you know, dinking the ball over and just doing his thing, and I just, yeah, incredible. I have no words to describe it. It's just brilliant.
I don't think many of us expected to see the performance that we did, to be honest. The way everything went down, especially in the first half as well. A lot of the talk I was overhearing on the Congos was just at a surprise. Nobody expected us to go out there the way we did.
There was no tension in the way the fans were before the game. As in, there wasn't that like, oh, are we going to do it? nobody really was concerned. Everyone went down, do you know what? We're supporting us against Croatia. Whatever the result, we're here to support. And it was such a authentic feeling to that. There was real happiness just going into the stand. People laughing more than what they would usually do because they didn't think there was something massively riding on it. They was like, oh, do you know what? Whatever happens, we're having a great time watching Wales play, and let's just enjoy it. And then, like you said, the first whistle went, and you thought, hold on a minute, we look superb. And everything we did was right that night, from the first moment to the last moment. And it was a complete Welsh footballing performance. And it was the same in the stands as well. The atmosphere that was delivered from the stands was a complete wholesome performance. And that shock and surprise, it was nice to feel that again. But it wasn't like you were blown away, like, oh my God, I can't believe that's happened. You were surprised. Be like, I knew we had that. See, I told everyone we had it. It's like a nice, that back pocket surprise. It's just there just to let you know it's there.
Yeah, Caws alluded onto this earlier. A lot of the players who were on the pitch that night haven't been getting a lot of minutes for their clubs. Played on Wednesday and just performed their socks off on Sunday. Danny Ward in goals, he might have let one in, but I was so surprised by his performance. He was excellent. His distribution seems to have gone up a level. He was pinging balls about to a different standard than what he has been previously. He didn't have any sort of mistakes, really. It was refreshing. And I know it was one person who got both of our goals, but the team in general, I think everybody put a shift in. There's nobody who you can fault. And I think that's one of the biggest things I took away from that game is just everyone did what they had to and they done it with style.
Yeah, I think, do you think it's a lack of pressure? Like, we had no expectations, as Tinty said. So, do you think it's like just, whatever, it is what it is, we'll just do our best. It is Croatia, it is a tough side, best midfield in the world, but our midfield dominated. So
I would probably agree with that. I would say there's massive pressure on Rob Page. I think he was under big pressure, but I would say that for the players, maybe there was that bit of freedom where you go, okay, it's almost like a free hit, even with what's happened before in the group. And people are already written us off. Maybe what the players are looking at and go, yeah, maybe it is a bit of a free hit. But I tell you something, I just did not see that performance coming. And, to play against Croatia, who barely threatened throughout the 90 minutes. I mean, they scored that goal where it's an unlucky flick off Kiefer Moore's head. And that's just it's really unlucky, I think, that. I just thought we were outstanding. And, you look at Ethan Ampadu, he's got 48 caps or whatever it is now, but he's still a young lad alongside Jordan James in midfield, up against just world-class quality in Luka Modric and just like bags of experience in their midfield. And for them to dominate the game in the way they did, it was absolutely unbelievable. And, I did think before the game, I was sort of thinking, who's he going to play? And for the life of me, I thought he was going to play Dan James. I did not see him starting David Brooks. I was happy to see him start Dave Brooks, but I did think that he'd start Dan James, but it was just an inspired choice. And, I've been quite critical, I think a lot of people have, about Rob Page, but he got it absolutely spot on. And I think he learnt a lot from that awful month in June. And, we tightened it up, but we also looked a threat as well. It was just an absolutely brilliant night. And I know, I know it's perhaps a bit dramatic to say back to the good old days, because it's not that long ago where, we're qualifying for World Cups and stuff like that. But it did feel like a throwback to one of those special nights under, the likes of Chris Coleman, Ryan Giggs at the CCS. And absolutely loved it, every minute of it.
That's one thing I would say about after the game is I've said it with a few people, and I don't know if it's controversial yet to say or not, but is this what it's going to be for the post-Bale, post-Allen, and more than likely some post-Ramsey era? It's a young squad. We've got a couple of senior boys still there, like Hennessy, Ward, Davis. But a lot of them players are under 25. Like Ampadu's 23, he's nearing 50 caps. Jordan James is 19. He's a year younger than me, and he's bossing it like he's been playing for years. it is amazing to see. And it's like what you just said, Caws. It did feel like one of those special nights. And I think that's what made it hit different for so many. Nobody went into it expecting it. But the feeling as soon as that final whistle went and the scenes on the canton and everywhere else in the ground, it was amazing, wasn't it?
It's very reminiscent of of Chris Coleman when he had that big loss. I think it was his Serbia away. Very similar to that loss where he then played his own way of football. And for me, Page wasn't the caretaker manager because he was, in my eyes, his formations, how he was setting up, it wasn't his. It looked like he was either being told what to do or he's inherited a format and a plan, and this is how Wales play football. That looked like a Robert Page team where he'd chosen and made these decisions. He dropped Dan James. He'd stuck Jordan James in the middle. Now, this post-Bale, Ramsey and Alan era, this is where Coleman went through a very similar cycle. You also have a look at the background staff. Dr. Ian Mitchell was very, very crucial in that psychology aspect, helping obviously Cookie go from that to getting these young players mentally ready. I truly believe he is one of the best signings that Wales has made is Ian Mitchell, and that sports psych side of things. These young players, like you said, like how many caps they've had, but they're coming into a squad playing so relaxed and so composed. We're doing something right behind the scenes to prepare those lads for on the day, because it's not just what they deliver on the day, it's this prep beforehand where we're getting right. And it looked like Robert Page had his setup and he went, now we're doing it like this from now on. Right, we've messed up. Right, I mean, here is what it is, blah, blah, blah. But now we're doing it my way. I'm going to make the decisions. If I'm going out and I'm having my head on the chopping board, I'm going to go out with my head held high with my decisions, not a pathway decision. And I'm saying that has happened, but potentially that's how I would view that. But these young players, there's something so special there. And how amazing is it, like our under-21s? There's a huge future ahead of us, and I can't wait for it.
That is one big point as well. Our under-21s are off to a brilliant start in the Euro qualifying group, as well as our under-19s. And I think a lot of this stems from Euro 2016 and the development of football in the years since. You're getting a new crop of young players who are coming up and they want to represent this country where they might have gone across the border or anywhere else in years previously. People want to play for our badge now, and it's stemming down to them youth levels. And we are now starting to see that new wave come into the senior squad. And from a fan's perspective, it is just amazing, that is, ain't it? Just to witness this new crop come in with the pride. And I think it's a very Welsh thing to say, but when we sing the anthem, these players new and old, especially on Sunday, I'd go as far as say that's one of the best, if not the best renditions we've ever done. It was, just speak about it yourselves. It was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what it is about the anthem. Like, it just makes me want to cry. And I sit right behind, so where the players are standing, and there's all the like media people, and they turn around to the crowd, and I'm like nearly crying, like trying to hold in my tears. But honestly, like it just gets louder. My Apple Watch is like going off, like you're gonna go deaf, pretty much, because it was so loud. But I love it, and like I know. The day before with the rugby, everyone's like, oh, that anthem was all fun. I don't want to compare the two, but we have to. I mean, we just showed them like how it's done, didn't we?
And we've been doing that for years, I'd say, considering the size difference between the Millennium and the Cardiff City Stadium. And obviously, I haven't watched much of the Rugby World Cup, and I know full well I won for the rest of the tournament. But the criticism, that's out of the Welsh hands. But I even think if that was pulled in a football tournament, our fans would shine through a choir of kids, whatever it is.
We had it at the World Cup, didn't we? They played it like really fast in the stadium, and it was horrible, but we just carried on. It was brilliant.
I think that's the red wall to a T. We sing to our own hymn sheet. We do it at our own pace. And is very biased in some ways, but I think there's no one else like us in the world, and especially in European international football. I can't think of another country who goes about it like us.
Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. I think, absolute masterstroke, whoever's decision it was, a few years ago to turn the music off after the first few seconds.
Dave Driscoll.
Dave who?
Well,
Dave
Dave.
Driscoll. I was on a panel
like
with
Dave.
him in Wrexham, and he told me the story about when they decided to do it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There you go. Credit to that man. Hope he doesn't have to buy a beer ever again. But yeah, it's just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And yeah, it is emotional. You do feel like crying. Like I'm not ashamed to admit that, you know. Just sitting there in the media bit and, you know, people looking at me, look at this dickhead. But yeah, people are thinking that anyway. But yeah, like it is just absolutely amazing. And I am biased, but we have got the best anthem in the world, absolutely. Yeah. But also, do you know, we've come a long way as well. I'm looking at the players, you know, looking back at the, you know, probably watched the videos of the anthem about 20 times since Sunday. Looking at the players and what it means to them. I think you mentioned it there, Ev. I remember, you know, standing or sitting in a Millennium Stadium 20 years ago where, you know, there might have been like 15,000 people there, and, you know, the vast majority of players didn't even know the words. You know, we've come a long way. We've come a long way. Welsh fan culture and the players and everything now, it's just 10 times better than what it ever was. So, yeah, we're very lucky.
Yeah, it seems to be a major unity between the fans and the players on the pitch. And I think Sunday shows the effect that has, and it pushed us to the result, I think. As soon as the second half kicks off as well, I think it was the 47th minute, Brooks pings the ball over Harry Wilson, 1-0 up, and the noise levels from there on in. It was never a moment of silence, really. It was always something coming from the fans, and I do think each and every one of them play off it.
Yeah, so they should. I mean, they may as well use it to their advantage. And yeah, like you said, we're a fan base like no other. You know, I'd done something for the World Cup before, and they were looking at fans from all over, and they said the same to me. Like, these people are putting these like videos together. There's literally no one like us, even in the World Cup. And you know, it was our first time. It was our chance to showcase it. And yeah, hopefully we can do that in Germany as well.
Well, after Sunday, I don't want to get ahead of myself. We've done it so many times over the years, but we've won the first game out the Free Cup finals now, and we've done it in emphatic fashion. And going back to the game, really, I think there's a lot of beauty around Welsh football, and the one thing that I really loved about it is Harry Wilson having that performance on his 50th cap, a decade, literally on the 10-year mark where he made his first ever appearance. It's something beautiful about that. I didn't know it going into the game. I only realised it was his 50th cap when they showed it on the screens at half time. For him he's been playing for over a decade now with only 50 caps. He seems to have so many big moments under his belt already, stand-up performances, and I think Sunday was his best one.
It was a complete performance, everything he did, all his decisions, and I think that goes from club and country. I've never seen him play that well and that complete of a performance. He's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And could this be the moment where he turns and he goes to that next level? Because we've had so many players that we have hyped them up in too soon. Maybe some of them, like Dan James, he was going to be the next Gareth Bale, and I feel there's a lot of personal things that have happened to him through his life that have affected those things. And I think that's where we fall short of our expectations of someone, because how highly we've regarded them as a junior. Harry Wilson has just turned and gone, right then, let's have a go. Brooksy, yeah, he's come back. Right then, I'll be the next Bale. I'll be the next. Actually, I'll be Wilson. I'll be his Bale. I'll be Wilson. I'll do my own thing. I'll become my own name in my own right. I won't be the next something. I'll be my own standalone, definitive character on a pitch, and I'll be able to identify as something else, like how I do my runs, how I do this, how I do that. And it's giving these youngsters an opportunity to do that, to become their own hero, if that makes sense, in their own story, rather than it is so cliche. How many times have we heard it before? All of us, you're the next Beckham, you are. I'd like to be myself. I like to be known as myself. So these youngsters, they're writing their own stories. And Nico, I'm so proud of him, of his performance. It was again another player who's had a whole complete performance. But I was blown away by him. Absolutely blown away with pride for them.
is what we need as well. We're heading into 2 massive games in November now with a young squad who want to write themselves a chapter in history books. We've had so much success in the last decade. This new crop of players are just as hungry as the fans for it. So looking ahead to Armenia away and Turkey at home, it is do or die for us if we want to get that qualification. And it's just a simple question. Do you think we'll do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Welsh
probably
way.
going to let you go next.
Just make it a bit difficult for ourselves. And then, we live an underdog story, don't we, at Wales?
It's very much the Welsh way to do it, isn't it? Go about it the hard way.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we're not doing it.
He's saying this, so he feels better when we do.
It's because he's done it before, that's why. He's doing the old reverse psychology. We'll never do it.
Yeah, no. Do you know what? I worry. I don't worry about Turkey at home at all. Not worried about that one bit. I think we might draw it out in Armenia. That's just my. Hey, listen, we're more than capable, especially after Sunday night. We're more than capable of winning both those games. Just think we might just draw it out there in Armenia, but at the same time, I'm a lot more confident now than I was going to the game on Sunday. So yeah, fingers crossed we can do it. Listen, if we do end up in those playoffs, I'm confident. I think are we looking at maybe Finland and Poland perhaps at the CCS or something like that? And I'd be really, really confident anyway. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we can do it in those last 2 games.
Well, as fans, I don't think many people want to go down the playoff route again. Like, just thinking about last year for the World Cup is a needed stress, isn't it? Yeah. Especially the gap we had between our fixtures, which obviously couldn't be helped given the circumstances. The stress felt in both them games, I don't want to replicate that. But if that's the way it'll be, so be it. It's just the last week or so has given us a fresh breath of optimism, and it's what we've been needed for a very long time. This campaign was obviously going to be something else given the transition that we're in. But I think, especially Sunday, we've had a glimpse into what is coming up. So for each and every one of you, really, how excited are you for what lays ahead for the squad?
Yeah, I mean, I think we said it already, didn't we? The future's bright. We've got so many young players with so much talent, even when they're not getting time elsewhere. But hopefully, the clubs do give our players, like, they'll watch them at international games and think, actually, yeah, he deserves some more minutes and, just progress their career on the whole. But I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. But it makes me feel quite old when there's players that are like 19 on the pitch and doing what they're doing.
Yeah, it is going to be like that, really, isn't it? And it's a bit hypocritical of me to say, given my age, but it is a bit strange seeing people who are younger than me now creeping into the senior squad and realizing like that could have been me if I didn't have such dodgy knees. Maybe I don't know. I can guarantee you've heard that somewhere before over the years. Well, I'm going to leave you with one last question now, one for John in particular. And say we do make it now, we beat Armenia away, we batter Turkey at home, we qualify. Are we going to see a Tinty nationwide tour just celebrating another tournament?
I got to see what I got to rip off first. Now, do you know what? If we qualify and we beat Armenia and we beat Turkey, we beat them. 100%. I won't even do a song. I'll release an album. I'll release a Cymru. That Cymru disco album that they did.
Yeah, the one with like Sauce from Vac on and everything.
Yeah, do you know what? Sauce from Vac's going on there. It's happening. Do you know what? That's it. We'll release an album, so no fan can ever think, oh, do you know what? Oh, I got to listen to Waka Waka again. You got 8 new Waka Wakas to listen to. What more do you want?
Well, if Paige or the boys are listening to this, that's their motivation. Play this on a loop in the dressing room for the next 2 games, I reckon. We got to give the world a Tinty LP. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
It could be quite dreadful at the same time for a lot of people, including Welsh fans, but it's all right. The kids are united. We'll never be divided.
It'll be the potential soundtrack to another brilliant summer of Welsh football if you touch wood now. Well, thank you all for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers,
thank you very much.
Diolch yn fawr. Absolutely loved it.
Another international window has come to an end, but the next one is looming large, and it is going to be massive for the nation. Armenia away and Turkey at home are going to decide if we end up dropping into the playoffs or we can start booking our flights to Germany. I don't know about you, but the anticipation is already killing me. I can't wait to get stuck into them 2 games next month. Whatever happens, we'll be supporting the team no matter what. Just fingers crossed we end up in Germany. What a trip it'll be, won't it? As always, the Welsh Football Fans podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, Pure Vans, Nathaniel Cars, and Valley Carpets. And as always, we'll see you in the next episode. Hopefully, episode 5 will be out a lot sooner than you'll think. Diolch yn fawr.